listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about New Hampshire. Oh, God. So, Lauren.
Yes, Kenzie.
Let's get scary.
So I saw Halsey last night.
Yes, you did. Tell us about it.
I was in the pit, and it was amazing. But, okay. So the first song, she's like out there playing the piano. I didn't know she was out there playing the piano. I thought it was just a voiceover. And halfway through the song, I like moved a little bit, and I was like, oh, she's on the stage already. Took me half of a song to realize she was on the stage. And then that became the joke with everyone. So at some point, she'll have like fire coming up from like the front. And one of my tall friends is like, Lauren, there's fire. So all the things that were happening, I was like, thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, I saw it makes sense now with Bree's post about you having to go back to the North Pole.
Oh my God. She thought that was so funny.
It was kind of funny.
It was really funny.
Yeah. And especially with like how the picture was where she seemed like way
Oh yeah, she like lifted her hands really high up and she's like, I have to take a picture of you. And I was like, why?
Because I'm like, she's also not that much taller than you.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Like...
But yeah, pit was really fun. At one point, I was like 2 feet away from her.
That's awesome.
So close.
It's always surreal for those kinds of things. Like,
I know.
You obviously know they're a real person.
Yes.
But then when you see them, you're like, holy crap, you're a human being.
And she's just so pretty.
That too.
Oh, so we were nice and close in the pit, able to see all of her prettiness.
That's good. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yes, I did. I had a great time.
It's been a long time coming for that one.
Oh my gosh. We bought these tickets. First off, we bought these specific tickets back when it was cold outside because I remember standing outside of work buying these tickets in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
But then we had the situation in Merriweather all those years ago where that was just a shit show and it didn't happen. And then we saw her at Firefly, but she wasn't headlining. Well, she was kind of headlining Firefly, but it wasn't a long
full
concert.
set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we finally saw the full set.
Yeah.
It was great, but it was funny because she was like, I have been waiting so long to do this concert here. We love Virginia.
Oh, good.
We don't like Maryland. And I was like, I wonder if she remembers.
Oh, because it was at Merriweather.
Merriweather in Maryland.
Jiffy Lube.
Correct.
Aha.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Wow. The fact that she remembered.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
Because she's so great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
but yeah, so it was great. We fangirled. It was amazing.
Would you say that you're the ultimate fan?
I'd say I'm one of them. I was in the pit.
Yeah. I would say that getting pit seats, that pretty much makes you the ultimate fan.
There was one girl there too. It was actually very cute. So the theme of Halsey's concert was like my last trick, kind of like magic tricky kind of thing.
Her last trick.
That's what it's called. I don't know. I don't know what it stands for. But it's like Alice in Wonderland, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So one girl had cards, and on each card she wrote like a lyric from a song. And you got to pick a random card from the deck and read what your lyric was.
Oh, that's fun.
It was really fun. There were a lot of like fun people there.
I can't imagine loser people going to a Halsey concert.
No. Did you lose your vape?
Yep.
Here's the invention I think we should make. And TM, this is my intellectual property.
Okay.
Okay. You know, like a lanyard, how it has badge attached.
Yep.
They need a thing to attach your vape.
My former roommate got me a thing that I can clip to my shirt that like nurses use to like hold on to like pens.
Oh my God.
And so I used to put it in there, and it was great because I would just go whoop and pull it out and use it, and then it'd go right back in, and I'd never lose it until I lost the thing that holds it.
Yep, that would do it. You might have to try to make it through this whole segment without it.
I had 2 field trips this week. So I'm tired.
And you just need your vape.
I just need it. I guess I'll focus, on the important things.
That's all we can
I just wanted to throw out there that I had 2 field trips this week. But one of them I got to be outside for like most of the day.
That one was fun.
That one was pretty fun.
And where was the other one? Where'd you go?
The African American History Museum.
In DC?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Really?
Amazing.
My dad worked on the lights there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well put together. The way that they have it set up. You can start with doing like chronologically. And then the upper floors are like broken up more into like cultural topics.
Okay.
So there was sports. There was education. There was press.
Oh, cool.
There was music, art, clothing. And so you got to see it from like a contribution standpoint. They had a whole section for music broken up into genre.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was amazing.
Was the sports section broken up into sports?
Yeah, kind of. So when you had walked into there, it started off with like Olympics and things like that. And then when you walked in, it was more so broken up by person.
Oh, cool.
So they had like pillars almost of like different big names for the different sports instead of it being like sports specifically. So, and like even like the way that they set it up to go like chronologically, starting with like slave trade and all that, the way it's not overwhelming. It moves you very nicely.
Oh, okay.
That you don't feel overwhelmed of being able to get all the information in. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Did the kids love it?
Yeah, they had a good time. And we started off at the bottom first. Like we went through the slavery and Jim Crow and all that, which I mean they learned about in school.
Right.
And so they just all did a really good job with it.
Wow.
You know, and asked like the questions were appropriate. They got a little squirrely at the end there, but that's to be expected from fourth graders.
Exactly. Well, good.
And did well with it. I just had one friend who was a little nervous, but that's because it was kind of dark.
Oh.
And she's afraid of the dark.
Oh.
So we held hands.
Oh,
we were buddies. But yeah, I got to go back without kids. Because
I'll go. We should do a whole DC day.
Yeah. So you reserve tickets online. Obviously, it's free.
Right.
But I really wanted to stop and read.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to make sure that the kids don't run off.
Yup.
I was glad that we got to go upstairs because I think that was just really cool for them to see. They got really excited going into the music room and like there's a screen that was playing, like cycling through different artists. And when Michael Jackson came up, they were like, Michael Jackson.
Oh.
If you ever have the opportunity to go to a museum in DC, I highly recommend that one. It's just not only historically is it fascinating, but the way it is set up is so nice to be able to take in the information and not feel overwhelmed.
Wow.
Like, I really feel like they did a good job at having history kind of come alive. They have like whole cabins in there. They have an airplane. It's the outside doesn't do it justice for what's inside.
No.
And the outside is beautifully designed. But seeing everything that was inside, I was like, you'd have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, they had this one wall that was super impactful where it had a list of all the ships that participated in the slave trade, which we're going to talk about in a second. And all the ships, it had the number of people that went on versus the number of people that survived. And easily for all of them, at least half. When Black people say that slaves essentially built this country on their backs, they're not exaggerating. It's not a hyperbole. You just going into that museum and like seeing all of the things that they helped create. And so just the things that they created, both architecturally and just they truly did build this country. Yeah. You know, and it's fascinating. It's just, especially as a history buff, like it's just so cool. I'm like, we don't have enough time. I was walking around with my one friend who she also happens to be Black and I know she loves hair. And so I was like, oh my God, we got to go find the hair section. And she was like, oh, I know what that is. And I know what that, and it was fun to see her see herself. Yeah. You know, and she was like telling me what the different hair pieces were and cute. Like all that kind of good stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really great. I could talk about it forever, but even not being able to look at everything, it was still really nice. Yeah. It was a perfect day for your museum because it was raining.
Oh, that is perfect.
So, and then we went to a creek and did water testing on Friday.
That's really fun.
I was the poster girl.
I saw that, yes.
Yes. That's about as much as I can do. There was this, as we were walking back, there was a big old snake that crossed in front of us. And it was me and the science teacher and then like the parent volunteers. So like the kids had already left. And so we all stopped and some of the parents were like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm just like way in the back. I'm like, let me know when it's gone.
I would have been up there looking at it.
It was big. It wasn't like a garden snake. It was like a big, long black snake that like took up from, it was a little large.
Large and in charge.
Yeah. I was like, I guess we're technically in your house.
You are in nature.
So I didn't freak out. I just kept my distance.
Like, fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun. The kids had so much fun with it. Highly recommend teaching outside. It's great for everybody.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And so I slept for 12 hours Friday night. And it was glorious. And yeah, so that was my 2 field trips.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. But they had so much fun. So it was all worth it. So
wow, I wish I had field trips.
Well,
but I don't. All right, well, should we get into New Hampshire?
Yes, please.
Though New England is often seen as a supporter of abolitionism later on, in the 17th and 18th centuries, New Hampshire, particularly the seaport of Portsmouth. Someone's going to get mad at us, but it's one or the other.
I'm going to get that angry text message.
Yeah, probably. It was deeply entangled in the transatlantic slave trade, part of the infamous Triangle Trade. Portsmouth ship owners financed and profited from the system.
I've never seen a Portsmouth spelled like Portsmouth.
That's true.
It's always spelled like Portsmouth. I can hear Allie screaming as she listens to this.
Oh my God, yeah. We were supposed to ask her all of the pronunciations.
I feel like we should have been able to get Portsmouth.
Well, starting off strong. Ships would leave New Hampshire loaded with timber, fish, rum, and livestock bound for the West Indies and Africa. In Africa, these goods were exchanged for enslaved people who were then forced across the Middle Passage to the Caribbean and American colonies. The ships often returned north, laden with sugar, molasses, and other goods produced by enslaved labor. Enslaved people were sold in Portsmouth itself. New Hampshire's only slave market operated there in the 1700s. Wealthy merchants and ship captains built grand homes using wealth earned from slavery and trade. Even rural towns were not immune. Enslaved individuals worked on farms and in households throughout the state.
He's dreaming.
Oh, he's so cute. I wonder what dogs dream of.
Me too.
By the time of the American Revolution, New Hampshire had hundreds of enslaved men, women, and children, and it wasn't until 1857, startling late, that slavery was officially abolished in the state. One poignant reminder of this history is the African burying ground in Portsmouth, discovered in the 21st century. Beneath city streets lay the graves of African-descended men, women, and children, many unnamed, who had been forgotten by history until the memorial opened in 2015 to honor them. One of the most remarkable individuals tied to New Hampshire's colonial and revolutionary history is Prince Whipple.
I think so.
Okay. Born in Africa around 1750, Prince was kidnapped and sold into slavery as a boy.
It's kind of like Prince, like the singer Prince.
Yeah.
Not like Prince Harry.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He was purchased by William Whipple, a wealthy, Portsmouth merchant who would later sign the Declaration of Independence. William brought Prince to New Hampshire, where he served as a house servant but also received a formal education, rare for the time. When the Revolution broke out, Prince Whipple fought alongside his enslaver in the New Hampshire militia. He is famously believed to be one of the African-American figures depicted in the iconic painting Washington Crossing the Delaware, symbolizing the critical but often unacknowledged role Black patriots played in the fight for independence. Prince Whipple petitioned the New Hampshire legislature for his freedom after years of service, and he was finally granted emancipation in 1784.
So it was him, I think it was like he was one of 20 or something like that, where they had written a thing to New Hampshire's legislator to say, hey, we should be free.
Wow.
One website I read said that it sounded very similar to like the Continental Convention and like things like that, because he went with his enslaver. He went, and so he probably heard a lot of the ideas spoken about and things like that. And so that petition was denied, but he himself did receive his freedom.
So the other 20 men didn't?
No. Well, I don't know. But as a larger collective group, when they were like, hey, New Hampshire, you shouldn't do this anymore, they were denied. If the other people that participated got their freedom, I'm not sure.
Okay. He lived the rest of his life as a free man, and his story underscores the bitter irony of America's founding, the fight for liberty coexisting alongside the institution of slavery.
There's a couple of quotes from like the Declaration and the Constitution and things like that that talk about freedom and equality and things like that where it should have said with a little asterisk for a footnote, except for.
Yeah. Today, Prince Whipple's legacy is honored in New Hampshire's historical records, and his story serves as a testament to both the horrors of enslavement and the resilience of those who fought for freedom. Madame Antoinette Cherie was a Persian-born costume designer who made her fortune in New York's theatrical scene in the early 1900s. After retiring, she purchased land in the quiet woods of Chesterfield, New Hampshire, where she built a lavish, almost fantastical castle, complete with a grand stone staircase, arched doorways, and sprawling grounds for extravagant parties. Locals whispered about her late-night gatherings, with rumors of wild costumes, jazz music, and mysterious guests. She sounds like a delight.
She sounds lovely.
Cherie became somewhat of a recluse in her later years, and her castle fell into disrepair. After her death in poverty in 1965, the castle was left abandoned, and in 1962...
That doesn't make sense.
No, it does not.
No, it did burn to the ground in 1962.
So she lived there when it had become ruins?
Yeah, the end came for Sherry's beloved castle on October 20th, 1962, when it burned to the ground, leaving only the stone foundation behind. Far from being concerned about this turn of events, she only basked in her brief return to notoriety.
Oh, so she was moved out by the time she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So today, the stone staircase still stands eerily alone, and visitors often report hearing phantom laughter, footsteps ascending the stairs, and sightings of a woman dressed in early 20th century fashion, believed to be Madame Cherie herself, still hosting her eternal soiree in the woods. 9 rocky islands sit 6 miles off the New Hampshire and Maine coasts, and the Isles of Shoals have a reputation steeped in darkness and ghostly tales. One of the most infamous stories centers on Blackbeard's abandoned bride. According to legend, when the pirate Blackbeard sailed the Atlantic, he left his young bride Mary on the shoals for safekeeping. Ew, I don't like how that sounds.
Same.
Blackbeard never returned, and Mary, heartbroken and alone, is said to haunt Star Island, wandering the shores in search of her lost love. Another gruesome tale is the Smutty Nose Island murders of 1873. Norwegian immigrants Karen and Anith.
Sure.
You should know this.
No, I shouldn't.
You covered this.
A long time ago.
Anith Christensen was murdered in their cottage, allegedly by a fisherman named Louis Wagner, who was later hanged. Anith was found with her head crushed by an axe. Visitors to the island report cold spots near the old foundations and say that ghostly sobs can be heard at night, carried on the ocean breeze. Today, these islands are mostly peaceful, but those who visit often describe an uncanny sense of being watched and occasional glimpses of ghostly figures in the mist. And like we said, Mackenzie covered that in episode 74.
Mm-hmm.
Can't give us any of the name pronunciations or anything, but that's when it was covered.
I can't now.
I can't remember them either.
Couldn't then. Can't now. I mean, it's just...
Nothing has changed.
No. I'm nothing but consistent.
On the morning of July 18th, 1694, the settlement of Oyster River near present-day Durham faced devastation during King William's War. A force of 250 Abenaki warriors alongside French soldiers descended on the town. They destroyed homes, burned crops, and brutally killed around 100 settlers, including women and children. Many others were taken captive. The attack was swift and ruthless, targeting the English settlers who had long been encroaching on native land. Entire families were wiped out, and homes that weren't destroyed by the fire were looted and abandoned. The massacre deeply scarred the underdeveloped colony. Survivors fled to fortified garrisons, and Oyster River was largely deserted for years afterwards. Some say the spirits of those who perished still linger near the old settlement grounds, and eerie lights and the sounds of phantom cries are occasionally reported along the banks of the Oyster River. Eliphaz Dow holds the grim distinction of being one of the first people executed in New Hampshire. A notorious drunkard and brawler, Dow got into a vicious fight with his neighbor, Peter Clow, allegedly over a trivial matter. Some say their argument was over a piece of property. Others say a woman. The altercation turned deadly when Dow struck Clow with a club, killing him. Dow was quickly apprehended, tried, and sentenced to death. His hanging was a public event, drawing large crowds who came to watch the spectacle. Early accounts described how Dow, defiant to the end, cursed the gathering townsfolk as he was led to the gallows. Public executions were not just punishments, but warnings to others, and Dow's hanging became infamous for its gruesomeness and for his chilling, unrepentant demeanor. During Prohibition, New Hampshire's long coastline, quiet lakes, and proximity to Canada made it a prime area for rum running. Smugglers would run booze-laden boats, or rum runners, under the cover of darkness from Canada into the Granite State. In towns like Portsmouth and Hampton Beach, hidden tunnels and secret compartments in buildings stored illicit liquor. Bootleggers often used fast cars and bribed local officials to avoid detection. Some of the most famous speakeasies in New England operated in rural New Hampshire, often disguised as social clubs or tea rooms. The town of Rye was especially notorious. Local legend holds that nearly the entire town was in on the business, with shipments arriving nightly along the coastline. Violent turf wars between rival gangs sometimes erupted, leaving behind a bloody but mostly hidden chapter of New Hampshire's Prohibition history. I love this one show called Contraband.
Yeah, I know.
And they do that too, where they will hide stuff in the side of a refrigerated truck. It's wild.
All I can think of is the guy Adam Sandler plays in Hot Chick. You could hold your weed in there, man.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, some of the ways that people hide the stuff, it's just so clever.
People can be really smart.
Yeah.
And also really stupid.
Yes. But so that's why I love watching Contraband.
I always used to tell my troublemakers is that if they took all the energy that they did in making trouble and put it towards other things,
they could change the world.
They could truly change the world. I'm like, you are so smart. I would always say, I was like, just 10% more. Just 10% more.
And 10% on the better side.
Yeah, that too. That was more like 100%.
Yeah. But you got to start small.
Yeah.
While Salem gets all the fame, New Hampshire had its own brush with witchcraft hysteria. In the mid-1600s, Eunice Goody Cole of Hampton was repeatedly accused of witchcraft. Locals blamed her for everything from sick cattle to failed crops. She was imprisoned multiple times, but unlike in Massachusetts, was never executed. After her death, legends arose that she haunted Hampton, and she became New Hampshire's infamous witch. It wasn't until 1938, over 250 years later, that she was formally exonerated by the state. In a symbolic act, townspeople held a ceremony to forgive Goody Cole and burned copies of the original indictments against her. Her story lives on in New Hampshire folklore, and she is still said to haunt the seaside town of Hampton, a grim reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria and superstition. You can hear more about her in episode 56. I think I covered her.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
The name Goody Cole sounded familiar.
Yeah.
And so when I went back and looked at like our spreadsheet, I was looking for that. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe she didn't do it. But then I saw that it said town of Hampton or like something like that. And I was like, okay, that's probably it.
Because I think all of Hampton was haunted.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I covered
You did the town.
Yeah. And she just is such a big part of the town's history.
Yes. So I was like, okay, that's probably it. Yeah, I tried, like, when things are talked about, it definitely, like, sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And so I'll go and double check. The interesting part with this, like, I had to remember that technically I did the, what is it, smutty nose, whatever. I did that for Maine.
Oh, yeah. Because you were like, oh, it's right on the border of both of them.
Right. Technically, like, the islands are shared by both Maine and New Hampshire.
Well, that was like the Gitchetow murders from Iowa and South Dakota.
So technically it's a Maine episode. But
yeah.
So there you go.
So there you go.
Is New Hampshire.
And before we get scary,
do you love true crime and travel? Having traveled the world solo the last couple of years and being obsessed with true crime, I found myself researching others who took the same vacations but never made it home. The Last Trip is a true crime podcast covering missing and murdered people that were living their best lives on vacation. I'm your host, Jamie Beebe, and each week I'll bring you on The Last Trip, taking a deep dive into vacation culture and travel spots, tips on staying alive while traveling, and ultimately recreating someone's last days in paradise. What led to their last trip? What are the hard facts? What is the final outcome? And could you be next? David Snedden was a 24-year-old college student from Utah attending Mandarin classes in Beijing when he mysteriously disappeared while hiking Tiger Leaping Gorge. Chinese authorities said he drowned in the gorge, and U.S. authorities agreed, although his body was never found and his parents didn't believe that. 7 years later, out of the blue, they got a phone call from a former U.S. official who had evidence David is still alive. This case sounds like a Hollywood movie, but evidence doesn't lie. So where is David Snedden? Famous rugby player and Celebrity X Factor contestant Levi Davis went missing in Barcelona last year while on a backpacking trip through Europe. Just days before he vanished, he posted a 15-minute video to his Instagram account saying his life was in danger and people were after him. After he disappeared, several theories emerged. But what really happened to Levi Davis? Join me, Jamie Beebe, co-host of the popular true crime series Strictly Stalking, as I embark on a brand new adventure combining true crime and travel. Listen to The Last Trip wherever you get your podcasts.
What's spooky to you, Puan Lauren?
Okay, so we're doing a cryptid today. So every state has their own version of a Bigfoot, and New Hampshire is no different. But in New Hampshire, that monster is a little different, and it's known as the Woods Devil.
Okay.
Because every state has like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's just known by different names.
Yeah.
So the Woods Devil, or the Woods Devils, are a group of Bigfoot-like creature that have roamed the woodlands and hills of Coos County since the 1930s. It is either one single creature, but more likely a group of them. Coos County is the northernmost county in New Hampshire, and as of the 2020 census, the population was 31,268.
31,000?
Making it the least populated county in the state.
31,000 is still a good amount of people. We've talked about places that are like 2,000.
In this state, it's the least, like the smallest county.
But 31?
Yeah.
That seems pretty big. Like, comparatively to the, like, when I think small town, we've talked about places that are like 3,100.
But it's not a town, it's the whole county.
That's true. I guess I'm thinking too big.
Yeah.
Too small.
Yeah, this is like the whole county.
Okay.
82% of New Hampshire is forested, which means that New Hampshire has about 4.7 million acres of forest, making it the second most forested state.
I think Vermont's number one.
One source said Maine was number one, and one said Alaska. I don't know what the main one was, but one did it based on Alaska, like based on size and something or other.
I thought it was Vermont.
Nope. So these creatures, the woods devils, are said to be skinny and tall, like me.
Only half true.
Thank you. And they're usually
How'd you know I was talking?
I've only been called tall once in my life, and it was by a 5th grader.
Yeah, I would have considered you tall when we were in 5th grade.
Thank you.
I didn't become taller than you until high school.
And then everyone just kept going, and I stopped.
Yeah, it took me a second, but then I shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. I stopped very soon. So
well, you also started before the rest of us.
Not really, though. It's not like I was towering over everyone.
I meant puberty.
Oh, yeah. I did get boobs before you did.
Yeah.
We used to share a bra, and now we can't do that anymore.
I mean, we could. Just wouldn't fit. Like, you could wear mine, but you'd have to stuff it.
That is true.
I'd have to get, like, an extender for yours. And it'd really just be, like, a nipple covering.
Yeah.
Not even, like, a full bra.
No.
So.
No support there.
No, definitely not.
All right. So these creatures are skinny and tall, usually described as being between 7 to 9 feet with shaggy, matted, tan gray hair. Its long face is not too far off from that of a horse or a moose, with a long snout and small eyes. It has large feet and hands with large claws or nails. It is also known to be accompanied by a strong and unpleasant odor.
I feel like they're all a little stinky.
I mean, they're in the woods.
They're in the woods.
They don't have showers.
No.
Their skinny stature helps as they tend to use the trees to hide.
Oh.
They are said to hide behind the trees when humans approach and only come out when the coast is clear.
That's adorable.
This is my favorite one. And if there are no trees to hide behind, the woods devil will stand perfectly still, hoping not to be seen.
I love that so much.
How cute is this?
That is so adorable.
The woods devils are shy and secretive and will try to avoid human contact as much as possible.
Are we going to get into how then that they were called devils if they're so not devilish?
Not really.
Hmm.
It uses its agility, intelligence, and stealth to hide and move through the forest, and it does help that it's mostly nocturnal, so out when most people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
It is also a carnivore and feeds on small animals like rabbits and rodents, but does scavenge on dead animals when needed, especially during the winter when food is scarce. And when food is slim, it will raid garbage cans and livestock for food.
So it sounds like a normal animal.
Yeah, it does.
Just its appearance is
different.
not normal.
Right.
But that's like the only strange thing about it.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Those who've been in the woods, like outdoorsmen, hikers, and the like, at the same time as the woods devil, have described hearing what sounds like screams echoing through the hollows of Coos County. Sightings of this creature started popping up in the 1930s, with the rumors and stories swirling around camps of lumberjacks. The stories of these creatures all started as a sort of made-up group of animals that were used to scare new employees of the lumber companies.
That's funny.
They've been given the name of glutton, Indian devil, oh me that sees, a Cree Indian word, carcajou, quick hatch, nasty cat, and skunk bear. Skunk bear has been used in other places.
Yes.
These names explain the creature's veracity, cunning, stealth, and smell.
I think there's also a skunk gator. No. Gator skunk?
Who's to say?
I don't know.
But it's possible that the story started far before the lumberjacks started spreading it. The indigenous people of New Hampshire, the Abenaki, had their own legends of wild men of the woods, creatures who were known as woods devils or shy man. They're just known to be shy and they're so cute. Maybe it came from the idea that the energy of the land itself may play a role in the presence of these creatures.
You know, the Ripley's Believe It or Not guy who was like super tall.
Yeah.
He's been like the tallest. He's like, he was the tallest guy ever.
Yeah.
He had gigantism or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking that these creatures that people have seen or whatever have that because, like, obviously, it's obviously not common among humans.
Right.
But we can get it. And the thing that makes you, like, really hairy.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that was a subsection of humans that kind of broke off and was
maybe
created into, because, you know, as you were saying, there's Bigfoots everywhere. I'm like, it makes me feel like Bigfoot is its own branch of animal that has different species, just like how you have birds, but you have different kinds of birds.
Yeah.
So
cats, different kinds of cats.
Exactly. So
it's like the different breeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except when you say breeds, you think animal. But we don't say breeds of human.
That's true. I was going more on the animal route of that. I don't
Are they
know.
more animal than human?
I think so. I'll get to some. I'll get to some.
Okay.
So maybe it all seemed to be nothing more than a legend until people started to experience the woods devils. One of the earliest documented accounts of one of these creatures came from an article in the Boston Globe in 1895.
Damn.
The piece described sightings of a gorilla in the woods near New Ipswich, gorilla in quotes, with many witnesses reported seeing, quote, a great beast that jumped from the brush and disappeared into the woods. A young man reported hearing a growling before seeing something in the brush near the Pleasant Street Cemetery fleeing in terror. So the creature fled in terror. The man did not flee in terror.
That's different.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, like, we're talking about scary things, but it sounds like today we're talking about things that are scared of us.
Then a documented case came forward in 1948. A man named George Levoux was on a hunting trip deep in the forest of Coos County looking for deer. He hadn't had any luck that day, so he started to make his way back to his campsite for the night. As he was walking through the deep woods, he spotted movement out of the corner of his eye in the trees. When he looked over, he saw a tall, hairy creature with the face of a horse staring back at him. He fired at the creature but missed. Later, he soon found large footprints near the tree.
How large?
Like Bigfoot large.
And do Bigfoot feet look like feet?
I think so. But I feel like ape or monkey feet also kind of look like our feet.
Yeah, but I feel like their toes are scrunched more. Like, if I'm thinking, like, if you're going to look at something and think human-sized foot, because they walk, especially like gorillas, you walk on their knuckles.
I wanted to look up human foot versus gorilla foot. Yeah, there's a big difference.
Oh my God. Lauren, they look nothing. Lauren. Lauren.
I'll have to make sure to remember to post those pictures.
Their feet looks like they have hands for feet.
Yeah. Okay, so gorilla feet and human feet don't look the same.
Plus, how many gorillas are running around New Hampshire?
I don't know. That's why it was just a weird story that happened. But okay, so I'm going to say the big feet are like, or the footprints are like Bigfoot footprints to look like human footprints.
Okay.
It's the only way it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, then in 1952, another man had an experience. Robert Goulet was also on a hunting trip, and he was in Dixville Notch. That's the place. As he was in the woods, he heard a terrifying screeching yell coming towards him. Goulet followed the screech and came across a raggedy, hairy creature that was about 10 feet tall. He raised his gun and shot at the woods devil, but he also missed. The creature took off back into the woods.
Why is people's first instinct to shoot?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
well, if something's running at me, then maybe.
Okay, wait, that's what is going to be my question, but I didn't know if I was being nitpicky. How can the sound be coming towards him and then he choose to follow it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like a thing where he's hearing the sound getting closer, so he goes and starts going towards the sound.
Okay.
That's how I picture it.
Okay.
And sightings like this kept happening well into the later half of the 20th century. In 1942, a hunter named George Wentworth claimed he had shot at and wounded a woods devil near Dixville Notch. He described the creature as being 8 feet tall and weighing about 400 pounds.
Definitely sounds like Dixville. All they're doing is shooting at things. Pew pew. Not only did Lauren just thrust her hips up in a rapid manner, but she also included a pew pew. That had to be shared. Continue.
He followed the creature's blood trail for a while, but eventually lost it in the thick brush. In 1973, a group of hikers were out near Mount Cabot. They described seeing a large, hairy creature standing on 2 legs behind a tree. They said it was 7 feet tall and had grayish-brown fur. They also noticed a very strong odor coming from it. I will say, in the pit of Halsey last night, I also smelled some strong odors.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
And at one point, Bree and I smelled like a bad breath smell. And so both her and I at the same time, cupped our nose and mouth and breathed to make sure it wasn't us. It wasn't. Neither of our breaths smelled the bad, the bad breath smell.
Yeah.
Whew!
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yep.
I mean, even like because we were switching out the couches like at my place
Before
before we left, I like resprayed deodorant and perfume because I didn't want to be stinky.
Yeah. Yeah, that pit was intense. Not as bad as metal pits.
Yeah.
I do love our metal community, but more deodorant, more showers doesn't hurt anyone.
Men.
Well, I've stood next to some girls, and when the band goes, put your hands up, you're like, oh, please don't.
Not saying that we as women don't contribute.
Correct.
But when you look at the predominant amount of people that are running around that mosh pit.
Oh, yeah.
Men.
Those mosh pits are too scary for me.
That's too scary.
I don't want to be near them.
I get hot.
You would trip. You'd be the first one down.
Yeah. I mean, I hit my knee getting into the truck today. So I could have gotten hurt.
You could have gotten hurt. Right. In 1977, a man named John Horrigan spotted a creature on Route 3 near Pittsburgh at night. His description matched others with him saying that it was 7 feet tall and had gray hair. In 1983, a woman named Linda Newton Perry, who lived in Colebrook, claimed she saw one near a tree in her backyard. She said it was also about 8 feet tall and had tan hair. In 1994, Bill Braun claimed he saw a large hairy creature run across the road. And then in the early autumn of 1994, Fred Bellin took a nice walk in the woods. Bellin was hiking in the Redstone Quarry part of the town near Rattlesnake Mountain. Scary name for a mountain.
Have we not talked about that?
We talked about Rattlesnake Canyon, and that was in Arizona.
Close enough. Just the exact opposite on the opposite side of the country.
It was hikers who went in and didn't make it out of the canyon.
See, okay, it's not great, but it's not that bad.
Your memory?
Yeah.
Yeah. You picked up bits and pieces. You could do like a keyword search.
Yeah, I don't have good recall.
But that wasn't bad.
Yeah, thank you.
Suddenly, he noticed that the usual sounds of the birds, frogs, squirrels, and nature in general had disappeared. Bellin immediately thought that there had to be a predator nearby. He started looking around, and about 200 feet in front of him, he noticed a massive human-looking thing with red hair all over its body except its hands and face.
This has had a variety of different hair colors.
It's all gray, black, tan.
Now it's red.
That's
almost
tannish.
every description you've given, it's a different hair color.
That's why they think it's a family of them, or like a group of them, and not just one.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the face looked like a baboon, and that its skin was charcoal black. What?
Say it again.
A baboon. How do you say it? A baboon?
Yeah.
That's boring. A baboon is more fun to say. Fine. It looked like a baboon and its skin was charcoal black. That's boring.
It's just, looked like a baboon.
I know, it's more fun.
I wasn't expecting baboon.
The fur on its arm stood about 8 inches long.
How do you know?
I don't know.
That's so dumb.
I'm taking Fred's word. It was also at least 10
Did
feet
he go
tall.
up and measure?
Sir, can you please come here real quick?
Okay, I never understood that. When people give like a description and they talk about the height, I'm like, I cannot look at someone and say, oh, they're about whatever.
I think I could for like 8 to 10 feet. Like if I'm looking at something and it's taller than like my dad, I'm going to say, okay, it's more than 6
Well, but is your
feet.
dad standing next to it?
No, but I know how tall my dad, like I can look at my dad and know how tall he is. I can look at someone else and be like, oh, that's taller than my dad.
Well, what if it's a distance away? Things look shorter when they're further away.
Well, then maybe it's like super, super tall. That's why in the distance it looks even abnormally taller. Anywho, he immediately started backing up, knowing that running could cause the creature to chase him. Once Bellin
No, that's a lie. They don't chase humans. We know
He doesn't know about this. He thinks this is just a creature in the woods. He thinks it's a predator because all the sound stopped. Predators are going to chase you.
I don't trust Fred. He doesn't seem to know our woods devils very well.
Oh, he doesn't. He knew that running could cause the creature to chase him, so he started backing up. He said once he heard the sounds of the forest coming back, he knew it was finally safe to turn around and run. He sprinted right back to his car and didn't stop driving until he was miles and miles away.
Joke's on him. It was more afraid of him than
I know. It wasn't. It was not going to chase you.
Yeah.
In 1997, a man, Bill Driscoll, was passing through Errol, which is technically Cambridge, New Hampshire, on Route 26 when he saw the creature cross the road in front of him at night. He said it was about 9 feet tall and had long arms and legs. It also had gray fur and a human-like face. He said the creature looked at him briefly, then disappeared into the woods.
So we have horse, baboon, and human.
And human, yes. And gorilla.
And gorilla. And it could be gray, black, tan, brown, and red.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
7 to 10 feet tall. There are many areas in New Hampshire that seem to be
Such a stark
hotspots
difference.
for Bigfoot/wood devil sightings. In a New Hampshire magazine article written by Jack Keeney titled Bigfoot Lives, at least on screen, there is a chart showing sightings of Bigfoot by county reported to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO. So there were 14 sightings in Belknap. I'm going to butcher these names, and I am so sorry. 30 in Carroll, 28 in Cheshire, 31 in Coos, 48 in Grafton, 35 in Hillsborough, 29 in Merrimack, 32 in Rockingham, 13 in Stratford, and 11 in Sullivan.
I wonder which state has the most.
I don't know. That would be a good question to
Since
ask.
there seems to be an organization that keeps track of that.
I'll have to look at their website.
Yeah.
So in these areas are all where like the Bigfoots are spotted.
The big feet?
The big feets, the wood devils. So another hotspot area is the Ossipee Mountain Range, which is located in the south central part of the state. It is a heavily forested area where many encounters and other strange occurrences have happened. The most well-known incident from this region is probably the Marlborough monkey case of the 1970s.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know you said at the beginning that like each state has their own version.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a situation where you can interchange Bigfoot and woods devils, or
For this one, the reason I included the Bigfoot stuff is because these ones who they called Bigfoot were specifically in New Hampshire.
Okay.
But it is believed that the big feet in New Hampshire are the woods devils.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So this case was when a couple was out hiking in the Marlborough.
You said it great the first time.
Marlborough. Okay. Quarries. They reported seeing a large reddish-orange creature that seemed to be playing hide and seek with them. It kept popping in and out of view among the rocks. The couple said that the creature looked like an orangutan, but they were so shaken by the whole thing that they quickly left the area.
See, that sounds like a plausible situation.
Then, near the same place that starts with an M that's hard to pronounce, in 2003, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization received a report of a loud howling sound coming from the woods. Then, in that same area in 2021, more sightings emerged to include a delivery driver who claimed to have seen a Bigfoot creature cross the road late at night.
So we went from the 1970s to 2021.
These are just like the reports in that Marlborough area.
Oh, okay.
Another hotspot in New Hampshire is the Pawtuckaway State Park region, which is in the southeastern part of the state. In 2019, a local resident named Joe reported a series of unsettling incidents. Some of these included loud, clear knocks that were coming from the woods, which is like a Bigfoot trait. Like they'll knock, and that's how they communicate.
It doesn't sound like it's not like a woodpecker.
No, it's like a clear knock.
Okay.
Like a woodpecker's like, "Durr." This is like a knock. He also heard a haunting siren-like vocalization that he said sounded like a World War II air raid siren.
So specific.
Yeah. The BFRO, Bigfoot people, have also had multiple reports of sightings in this area. They've had reports of loud, unexplained noises coming from the woods in the direction of a nearby pond. Another man caught sight of a massive bipedal creature who also made an eerie vocalization. Another big incident is the Hollis Flea Market incident of 1977.
Oh.
Hollis is located near the Massachusetts border, and in this town, many locals have reported seeing a large, blondish-colored hairy creature that was around 8 feet tall. But the most dramatic encounter occurred at a local flea market. A man was out camping and hunting with his sons overnight. They were staying in a trailer on the property that they were hunting at, and I assume this has to be near the Hollis Flea Market.
Sure.
Because it doesn't have anything about, shopping at a flea market.
I was just trying to, is that what I'm picturing here? Is that,
all the tents and stands.
Yeah.
No, when I first read this, I thought that too. And I was like, something happened at a flea market? No, I think it's just the area of the flea market.
Got it.
As they were about to fall asleep, their trailer started to violently shake. The father quickly got up to investigate. He pulled on his shoes and jacket and grabbed his flashlight. He whipped open the trailer door and came face to face with the creature.
Ooh.
Another version said that when the father went outside, he shone his flashlight on it and it stuck its tongue out at him. Terrified, the family fled and immediately went to the police station where they filed a report. This case made news and spread and quickly caught the attention of renowned Harvard anthropologist Dr. Carlton Kuhn. He traveled to Hollis, interviewed the father and his sons, and even administered a polygraph test on the family. In the end, he concluded that the man and his sons were credible and had indeed encountered something in the woods that night. So another big encounter happened in the town of Bartlett, which would become known as the Juggernaut Snowball Sasquatch Incident of 1988.
What?
Let me pull up a picture of this thing real quick.
Can you say it again?
The Juggernaut Snowball Sasquatch Incident of 1988. It will all make sense as I read it. Okay, so it had just snowed in Bartlett, and a 10-year-old boy and his 14-year-old sister were playing in a large pile of snow at the end of their driveway. When they looked up, they spotted a massive creature on the outskirts of the woods. The boy said it looked like the Marvel Comics character Juggernaut.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I will try to remember to post that picture as well. It was 6 feet tall and had a broad, muscular build with no visible neck. The siblings watched as the creature turned to face them before it effortlessly jumped up a 10-foot snowbank and disappeared into the woods. The boy, being a boy, threw a hard-packed snowball at the creature. He missed and it flew over the creature's shoulder, but it didn't elicit any response from the creature.
Oh, yeah, it didn't hit him.
Right, but it went like flying past him and he was just like, meh.
Probably because he was running away.
Because he's scared.
He's scared.
On a website called cryptids.fandom, Leah commented and said that they had an experience where they were driving in Newberry, New Hampshire. They were driving on a dirt road in the woods when suddenly something started chasing their car. Leah at first thought it was a deer running towards their driver's door until they saw an arm. The creature ran alongside their car for a bit until Leah hit the gas hard and sped away. Then someone else commented and said, probably fake, or a werewolf, or this one single Bigfoot had a disease. So I was like, do you think werewolves are real?
Yeah, that's...
But Bigfoot-type creatures are not? Probably fake. Or a werewolf.
Or a disease.
Like, what?
What?
Or this one single Bigfoot had a disease.
Wait, but there is Bigfoot.
I don't know.
But not this one.
This one person was very confusing with their comment. But there you go. The Woods Devil of New Hampshire.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little different than our typical
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Which is like, I get kind of bored of the typical Bigfoot stories.
Yeah.
But this one's a little different. It was like mixed up a little bit.
It makes a lot more sense that they would run away.
I think it's so cute. The thing that I just picture is like this tall, skinny, cute-looking, hairy creature thing sees you, doesn't see any trees, and just stands perfectly still. Like, it is such a cute image.
Yes. Definitely. Someone should make a fun children's movie about it. About the Woods Devils.
Yes.
Might have changed the name.
Yeah, probably.
That's okay. It seemed like there was a list of options.
Oh, yeah. We're good.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
Not as scary, but I mean, if you encountered these in the woods, it would be kind of scary.
Definitely be scary. But now that I know, I'm like, as long as you run away, that's fine. Because I don't know if I...
Well, we already know that you're the freeze. Fight, flight, and freeze.
Well, I run away. I just couldn't run away because I was with parents when the snake came.
Oh, I was going to say, when were you in New Hampshire with parents?
No. But I typically run.
Oh, okay. So you're a flight.
Oh, definitely flight.
I don't know what I am.
I definitely...
I think it depends on the situation.
I freeze. Well, I run away from whatever it is and then freeze. Like there was a spider hanging down from the ceiling and I ran away from it. And then I had to get to the other side to get the mop to kill it. And I was frozen for a little bit trying to get up the courage to run past it.
I get that.
So
I totally understand that one.
yeah, it's a little bit both. But no, typically I run.
I feel like that's probably me too. No, I'm probably freeze. I could see myself being freeze.
That's fine. I'll pull you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we'll fight together.
No. We run.
Okay.
We run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mackenzie,
Yeah.
what do you have for us?
The story of ocean-born Mary
Okay.
is as strange as the name itself.
It is a strange name.
Mary Wilson's entry into this world is one that few get to experience. Yet, she grew up to have a completely normal life.
Okay.
Maybe. However, the legend of ocean-born Mary would live on long after she died. Mary Wilson was the daughter of either Scottish or Irish, maybe a little bit of both, immigrants, James and Elizabeth Wilson, in 1720. The Wilsons decided to migrate to the United States and boarded a ship possibly called the Wolf that was headed for Boston. Shortly before the ship docked, it was overtaken by the pirate Don Pedro.
Oh.
When the vicious pirate discovered Mrs. Wilson with her newborn daughter, he proposed a deal. If Mrs. Wilson named the baby girl Mary after Don Pedro's mother, or possibly some other relative, then he would spare the ship and everyone on it.
Totally would do it.
Mrs. Wilson agreed, and the pirate kept his word, sparing the ship and the crew.
Okay. So did she give birth on the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So she was able to
Ocean-born Mary.
Oh, right. So she was able to prove, like, yes, I did name my child Mary.
Yeah, she just agreed that it would be Mary, and then...
Yeah, but, like, I feel like if you're a pirate and you're making a deal, you're going to want to check to make sure that the person upheld their end of the deal.
I thought about that too, but that didn't seem to be a concern for these people.
Oh, she gave me her word. She's truthful.
I guess so.
All
I guess
right.
that meant something back then.
Okay.
But yeah, no, ocean-born Mary is literal.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I figured it would get there.
Yep. Well,
But before he left, he bestowed little Mary a gift of a green brocade silk for her to wear on her wedding day. And according to Google, brocade silk is, quote, a type of brocade fabric made from silk threads known for its luxurious appearance, intricate patterns, and vibrant colors.
Okay. Wow, this is like a really nice pirate.
I don't know. I guess there was something about Mary.
Like, instead of attacking your ship, I'm going to have you name your child after family member, and I'm going to give you something nice, too.
A baby?
Maybe.
Like a baby?
Like an innocent, cute little baby.
Little baby.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a newborn.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe, I don't know, something. His heart grew 3 sizes that day. I don't know.
Obviously, that one.
Suspend belief for a little bit.
Okay? All right.
Or else this isn't going to be fun.
Okay.
Mary's father died shortly after the ship landed in Boston, and her mother had remarried James Clark, and the new family settled in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I kept wanting to spell it Londonderry, because that's what I first thought it was, and then I kept correcting it to Londonderry, and I said, well, it's a good thing I saw that, because I was about to call it Londonderry.
Yeah, good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or we would have gotten some nasty little things again.
Yeah, but I would have been like, I'm dyslexic. Leave me alone.
Don't make fun of my disability.
Uh-huh. When Mary grew up, she married a man named James Wallace, and they had 5 children, or maybe 4 sons. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
5 children with 3 sons or 4 sons.
Okay.
We don't know. Shortly after the birth of her last child, James Wallace died in Londonderry, making Mary a widow with 4 to 5 young children.
Oh, my goodness. So she's like 2 times a widow.
No, her mom.
Oh, right. That was her mom.
Yeah. They just both happened to be named James. I guess that was a popular name then.
Yeah.
So, legend says that shortly after James's death, Don Pedro, the pirate who named her, settled in Heinecker, New Hampshire to build his dream home. When he learned... You like that?
I do.
Apparently, he had like 6,000 acres.
Sailed the 7 seas and now just wants to settle down in where, New Jersey?
New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. New Hampshire. For a second, I was like, New Jersey doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. When he learned that the woman he spared so many years ago was a widow, he invited Mary and her sons to his estate.
No.
Eventually, the two fell in love and got married.
That's kind of gross.
Don't think about the age.
Okay.
Don't think about the age.
I don't like that.
We're going to pretend that he was think Twilight. You know, he imprints on the baby.
That was never not gross.
Well, yes, it was gross, but you knew that by the time that they were actually together, she wasn't going to be a child.
Well, yes, I understand. It's just weird. Like, I'm the reason you're named this, and now we're going to get married.
Remember.
Suspend belief. Okay.
You know, happily ever after.
Okay, yes. Happily ever after.
Kind of. Mary and her children lived a happy and comfortable life. However, one day Mary discovered that her betrothed was murdered in their garden, having been stabbed to death.
Oh, no.
Many believe it was at the hands of the former pirate's old crew.
Oh, no.
His last request was to be buried under the hearthstone in the kitchen, and it is also believed that Mary buried his treasure with him. Rumors began to swirl soon after Mary died that her spirit had not moved on and was possibly protecting the house in Heinecker, the one that she moved into with the pirate. Okay.
And the treasure.
And the treasure. Why? Possibly to protect her late husband's buried treasure from his pirate days. So a lot of these reports I'm about to go over are specifically from hauntedhouses.com.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So people have seen an apparition of a 6-foot red-haired woman with flashing green eyes, and is said to be seen standing in the upstairs bay windows and hanging around the central staircase. Throughout the years, her apparition was also seen throwing something into a well that was located in the yard.
Okay.
Supposedly, various police officers have seen Mary throughout the years. 2 state troopers claim to have seen an entity described as a 6-foot tall, red-haired woman dressed in 18th century attire crossing the road below the old mansion to get to the other side. Visitors to the house who have touched the hearthstone under which the pirate is buried claim to have felt special vibrations. Good vibrations.
That's what I was thinking too.
The mansion was deserted for a while after Mary's death in 1814, falling into disreputable... What word did you say before?
Disrepair?
Disreputable shape?
Disrepair works. Or disreputable shape.
I think I meant disrepair. I wrote this last night.
Yeah, just make it disrepair instead of disreputable state.
Shape.
Oh, shape.
Disreputable shape.
It's like one of those things when you can't think of what the actual word is, so you describe it in a completely different way.
Yeah, okay. The man, it wasn't in good shape. It was falling apart.
There we go.
When it was bought, it was renovated and restored, which supposedly made the ghost very happy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Usually ghosts don't like that.
Apparently thrilled. Lewis Roy owned the house in 1930 and claimed that Mary's ghost had saved his life 19 times during a hurricane that had hit the area in the late 1930s.
Okay. Did he die 19 times during the hurricane?
Mm-hmm.
How?
Well, it's a hurricane.
But so there were 19 different situations?
I guess so.
Interesting.
As someone whose power has gone out a lot in the last week, I could see how there would be a bunch of different situations, especially in the 1930s when things weren't up to code.
Things could kill you. You could drink water and die.
Yeah, and who knows how long the storm lasts and the repercussions of it.
Yes, you make a good point.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Haunted homes. What is it?
Haunted houses.
Haunted houses. Okay.
It's a house, not a home.
HauntedHouses.com also said that in 1963, Mrs. David Russell, the owner of the house at the time, had a more substantial supernatural incident. In her words, quote, "Our caretaker dropped a space heater all the way down the stairs at the Oceanborn Mary house. And when it reached the bottom, the kerosene and the flames started to burn the stairs and climb the wall. There was no water in the house, so my husband went out after the snow. While I stood there looking at the fire, powerless to do anything." She's a freezer, not a flighter.
Right.
The fire went right out all by itself in front of my eyes. When my husband got back in with the snow, it was already out. It was as if someone had smothered it with a blanket. So according to the comments on an article written in 2015 for newengland.com by Bethany Borgalt, that Hans Holzers, apparently he's a well-known paranormal person.
Okay. Not well known enough because I have not heard that name.
Same. He has an old book titled Ghosts, and he claims to have been able to channel Oceanborn Mary when he was at her house in Heinager. So there's a person commenting, explaining this background, and they are claiming that the house that is supposedly haunted by Mary is not actually.
Okay.
It's not, it's not true. It's made up.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt that this book didn't help, get rid of the myth, discredit the myth.
Okay.
It just kind of helped fuel things for people that
fun.
believed it. Because the idea being that, people with the new owners are trespassing and things like that. And so he's like, well, I'm sure this doesn't help.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He thought he was an utter fraud.
He thought who was?
The Holzer guy.
Oh, okay.
The ghost dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hans Holzer, the ghost guy. That's what I'm going to call him because I don't know who he is either. Tanya Sharman, she was not happy with this comment, and she responded saying, quote, "He is not a fraud. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? I have, and captured it on film along with EVPs. I have been paranormal investigating now for 20 years. I have read his books, and he also worked with the Warrens.
Oh.
None of them really in it for profit. They never charged for an investigation like some people do today. A real investigator is there to help people."
Okay.
Then,
struck a chord with her.
Someone named Verinda replied to Tanya and said, "Wrong. Holzer could not get a connection with Mary's spirit. I saw the documentary where they showed the seance footage."
I love this.
Another comment on the blog post was from David Russell Clark. And he said, quote, "Ghost hunters, treasure hunters, believe all you want, but she never lived in that house, and that should be enough for you to give the current owners their privacy. This is coming from the grandnephew and namesake of the owner who bought it after Mr. Roy, David Russell." Remember Mrs. Russell?
Uh-huh.
I guess he doesn't remember Mom's story. Our girl Tanya, she responded to David saying, "Hi, my dad has visited the house and actually captured the ghost of Mary Wallace in the middle window. So I believe she does exist and shows her spirit to whom she chooses. When I was a kid, I was told the house burned down. There are many skeptics out there, but I do believe something dwells there. Whether it's still active, who knows? I know at one point Unsolved Mysteries wanted to film there, but were turned down."
Oh, interesting.
To which Verinda comes in hot with, "Whatever you photographed, it wasn't Mary Wallace. She never lived in the house."
Oh.
And that was the final comment that both Tanya or Verinda ever commented on for this article. And I just thought the exchanges were so fucking funny.
Wow.
It was so
They're getting so sassy.
Oh my God.
You know that means they went back to the article to go reply.
For sure. But, is there one? Could it possibly have all been made up by the guy named Roy who bought it in the 1930s? What we do know is that James and Mary were actually married for 39 years. Until October of 1781, when James died in Londonderry and was buried in Hill Burying Ground. And for those of you that can't do quick math, if they were married for 39 years, then that means that they got married in 1742, and Mary would have been 22 when she got married.
Okay.
Normal.
That's not bad. But how old we don't know how old the other guy would have been.
We don't know. She lived in the house until 1798, and then she moved in with one of her sons and spent the rest of her years living with him. She did die in 1814 at either age 93, 94, and was buried at Center Burying Ground in Heinecker, New Hampshire. So she did live in a house in Heinecker, New Hampshire. It is also believed that she actually was over 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And had red hair with bright green eyes, but her physical appearance could never be verified. However, all of her sons, which I'm thinking she's got the 4 sons, I think that's more of the truth.
Right.
All of her sons were known to be very tall, red-haired, and green-eyed, which may help with the credibility of her appearance.
Wow.
Apparently, her sons were, well-known in the community.
Mm-hmm.
She was said to be elegant, resolute, determined, a quick learner, intelligent conversationalist, witty, and had a thick Irish or Scottish accent, or a combination of the two.
Red hair, green eyes makes sense.
Yep, exactly. Mary herself never lived in the house that she is said to haunt. There were 2 Wallace houses in the town of Heinecker, one the home of Mary's son Robert, and the other home to her son William. After her husband's death, Mary lived with William. Apparently she didn't care for Robert, and she rarely visited him. I don't know what happened.
Sad.
I don't know what the beef is. William Wallace's house became the town poorhouse in 1840, and in 1923, it did burn to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Robert's house was built in 1760 and still stands and is said to be the location of the haunting.
Wow.
So
that's been around for a while.
Yeah. I'm like, again, anything over 100 years, haunted.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Mary, but no shot is that shit not haunted. 1760?
Yeah.
So... But people's argument for why it's not true is because she never lived in the house.
I mean, I get that as well.
Me too. But maybe because the other one burned down, this is the closest she can get.
Right.
Who knows? However, it is true that the story of a lot of the hauntings did begin by Lewis and his wife, Flora Roy, who owned Robert Wallace's house in the 1930s. He did. That is known that he started a lot of that.
Right.
That she specifically was haunting the house. So our girl Bethany, when she wrote her article for NewEngland.com, I thought it was so funny the way that she described what Roy did. And so I'm going to use what she said to explain to you because it's really funny.
Okay.
The side comments that she includes in there are the ones in parentheses. So I'm hoping I can read it in that way that, you know what I mean? Okay. So she said, Roy told paying visitors that ocean-born Mary lived in the house and could still be seen in her rocking chair, which wasn't actually hers. Amateur ghost hunters soaked up tales of Mary's fictional love, affair, marriage, employment, depending on the day, with the pirate that spared her life, who never came close to New Hampshire. Tourists and treasure seekers alike paid 50 cents apiece to rent shovels and dig for the pirates, who again never set foot in New Hampshire, treasure, which was not buried in the orchard.
Oh my gosh.
Mary herself is not buried under the house very hearthstone. Business boomed and the legend was born. I just love the part where she's like, spared her life, never came close to New Hampshire. Treasure seekers want to find it. Again, never came close to New Hampshire.
Not gonna lie, though, if I were going on a ghost tour or something and they're like, oh, here's some shovels, you can go dig for the treasure, that would be fun.
It would be, but before I take that time to do that and humiliate myself, digging like crazy, knowing, and this person knows I ain't gonna find shit, I'd make sure that something was credible enough that I might find it.
Okay.
Because like, I think also we just recently watched Pocahontas because in Virginia, we have this really weird thing where you have to learn Virginia studies, which means you learn the whole history of Virginia. Pocahontas, we claim her. You didn't know that?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. She's all that here, Jamestown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jamestown, yes.
Yeah.
The whole year we spent on Jamestown.
Exactly. But when the settlers first come in, that they're singing this song about finding all this gold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, you ain't gonna find nothing here. And sure enough, there's a scene where like Pocahontas explains, we don't have that here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I'm like, I know these guys look stupid because we know that there's no treasure there.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let myself get swindled. And if someone says, oh, here, yeah, you can dig for this treasure, I'm like,
And I'm going to be the one who finds it after all these other people before us have tried.
Right. Interesting. And you know it's here and you've never dug it up yourself?
Right.
Okay.
You don't have excavators out here.
Right. Okay, sure, yeah, I'll dig. Not. In conclusion, no evidence of either treasure or human remains has been found at either Wallace house, and the story is considered by townsfolk and historians to be entirely invented.
Oh, no.
And that is Ocean-born Mary. Now, the thing is, Ocean-born Mary was real. And I'm almost positive all the places I looked, her being born at sea and the pirate taking over and the whole thing, I'm pretty sure that is actually true.
So she did marry the pirate.
No, that's not true.
Oh.
That's why I explained how long her and her husband were married.
Mm.
The half of what I told you is possibly made up.
Did she wear the thingy that the pirate gave her when she was born on her wedding day?
She did.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute.
And I saw on Wikipedia that apparently her wedding dress is like, I think you can find pieces of it at a historical society kind of thing. So Ocean-born Mary was a real person, and her being born at sea and the pirate taking over the ship and all that kind of good stuff, that part I believe is true.
Okay.
Her living with her son in Heinecker, William, true. How long her and her husband were married, true. Because she didn't become a widow when her kids were young. Because they were married for 39 years.
Right.
So she didn't marry him. And also, he never stepped foot in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So her being a real person and having lived that life is, I'm 90% sure factual. I'm afraid to say 100 just in case I misread something.
Right.
But 90% sure like that part is all true. The hauntings, especially in that particular house, and the whole pirate thing and him being buried there. The pirate thing was made up by Roy. That was the story that was made up by Roy.
Well, I like it though.
I mean, he profited.
Yes, he did.
Go off, King.
Yeah, really.
So, but yeah, I thought that was a wild story, though.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
I was like, now that could be a movie.
Yeah.
Although the rest of her life was just kind of normal. So I definitely like the version where she gets married to the pirate in the end.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm like, also, you'd have to make the pirate really young for that not to be really fucking weird.
Yeah. Ooh, like the pirates with his dad. And the dad pirate is like, you need to name the son or your daughter Mary.
Oh, and his son is on the ship?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Like his son is with him on the ship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
And he's like a toddler or something.
Yeah. That way it's not creepy.
Oh, and they have this like connection and they don't know why. And then they find out, oh, I'm going to keep the rest of it shut. This is my idea. Mark June 1st, 2025, 504. Trademark.
Yep.
I'm never going to write this story, but it's my idea.
It's your idea.
But yeah.
Fun.
So there you go. I just thought the comment section and just like the way
beautiful
that woman like described like how ridiculous the legend is because of all the other information.
Beautiful.
I was like, this is great. This is great comedy.
We love other people's drama to be aired online.
I love it when people get in disagreements about this stuff.
Oh, me too.
It is so funny. It is so funny. So For the most part, people seemed to be unbothered, but Verinda, oh no.
She sounds like from Cinderella.
She was not feeling Tanya.
No, she was not. Well, fun story.
Yeah.
New Hampshire was a little bit lighter this week.
Which, that's okay.
We need some lightness.
I had 2 field trips this week.
Yeah.
And I moved a couch.
Yeah.
I'm sleepy.
I just had a lot of changes.
Yeah. You went to like a concert.
And I moved desks at work.
Yeah.
That's been sucky.
We've had a lot going on.
We've had a lot going on.
Not comparatively to what we had going on before. Like last year when we had a lot going on. This is like more like, anyway, I'm going to stop talking now.
Okay. Like and review us on places. Let us know when you've done so and we'll send you stickers.
Oh, fuck.
Yep, okay. I knew that was going to remind you. If anyone's listened, they know this is who we are.
Okay. Yes. I'm going to put a reminder in my phone.
Yes.
Because I got to return my Stitch Fix, so that's perfect. I can mail
perfect
stickers. Yes. Okay, thank you.
So stay scary
and stay safe.